Welcome back to the webcast. We are recapping week 5 and getting into week 6, as well as the crazy sports weekend that just happened. We got Doug back. Let's do it. All right, welcome back to the webcast, All Sports One Web. It is Tuesday, 7 p.m., so that means NFL for week 6 coming up. But we do got to start with recapping week 5, as well as the crazy sports weekend that happened this weekend. We had MLB wildcard action. The Mariners, with one of the greatest comebacks in recent postseason history, coming back from 8-1 to beat the Blue Jays and advance to the ALDS. Great to have the Mariners back in the postseason since the early 2000s. The Indians versus the Rays, the complete opposite of that series, where you had 3 runs scored in the first game. The Guardians, thank you. The Guardians, 3 runs scored in the first game, 1 run scored in 15 innings in the second one. Absolute pitching masterclass from both clubs on that one. The ALDS, the NLDS kicked off today. The Guardians play here in about 26 minutes. That weird 7:27 first pitch time. Love that for baseball. They never start on the nose of any time.
Yeah, it's so weird.
And so that was going on. We had selection, decision, whatever kind of Sunday you want to call it in the MLS, with 4 teams in the West, 4 teams in the East, all fighting for those last couple of playoff spots. Those are all now settled, and we will be getting MLS playoffs coming up at the end of this week. And that goes in with NHL picking up now. We got a couple games already taking place. Preseason just finished up. Lightning Rangers tonight, also kicking off really the NHL season. And then you add into that Premier League, you add into that college football week 7, you add into that NFL, and it is a sports weekend that we had this weekend. You got to enjoy it, a different kind of sport. The 7-year-old boys team back in club soccer. So how was that experience for you?
It was fun to watch. It's just, it's all about, it's cool to watch the kids play like that. It's not as serious, some of the parents get a little crazy, but it's not as serious, it's just more about the game and having fun, and hopefully our future generation, will be watching on TV someday.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's the best part about it, especially with the U.S. World Cup. I mean, those 7-year-olds now are going to be 13, 14, middle school, high school, really getting into competitive soccer when the U.S. are part of the 3-nation bid to host the World Cup in 2026. So that's going to be super exciting. If I could do math, that means they're actually going to be 11 and 12 years old. So I apologize. But that's going to be super exciting. And it's great to teach them, watch them learn the game at the young age. Flip that over to football with some of the pass interference or roughing the passer calls that we had this weekend. What do you teach anyone on defense nowadays in the NFL, or as kids growing up to one day play in the NFL, in terms of being able to tackle the quarterback?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. When you have Troy Aikman, a Hall of Fame quarterback, basically saying these rules are absolutely ridiculous, somebody who probably would have wished he had some of these rules when he played, he's sitting there saying that they're just absolutely absurd. And I mean, I think that pretty much shows it all. Booger McFarland on the halftime show was saying, how do you tackle? I mean, what do you do? And I saw in the first quarter, I forget the guy's name, the defensive end on the Raiders, he basically just wrapped up Mahomes and just hugged him until they blew the whistle. And I guess that's how you have to do it. But when you get somebody like Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes, when they're too quick, or, Josh Allen, he's way too big to just hug him. Ben Roethlisberger was a good example of that. You couldn't just get an arm tackle on Ben. You had to really hit him hard. Yeah. Well, now it's a flag. So I don't know. I mean, it's tough. something's got to happen to it. I understand the concussion protocol and everything, but landing hard on somebody, I mean, it's football. What about a running back that gets hit 35 times a game, that gets landed on, speared, helmet to helmet, and there's nothing with that.
Yeah, exactly. And for those who didn't see it, we had two egregious roughing the passer calls this weekend. Of course, one of them is going to be on Tom Brady, which was on Sunday. Tampa Bay up 21-0 against the Falcons entering the fourth quarter. 2 consecutive Falcon touchdowns led to, one possession game with about a couple of minutes left in the fourth quarter. Tampa Bay was driving. They were close to midfield, and you had a third down, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
And that drive got extended with a sack, which then got called a roughing the passer penalty. Tampa Bay then can close out the game there. And Tom Brady improves to 10-0 against the Falcons.
Yeah, that was huge because it was either third or fourth down. I'm pretty sure it was third down. And that ends their drive. They're going to punt with a few minutes left on the clock, and maybe under the 2-minute warning, but that's enough time. And roughing the passer on something that just was not a roughing the passer. I mean, I can understand it to a point, but there's got to be something else, because what's he supposed to do?
Exactly. There's nothing you can do.
He just can't sack him?
You can do. Yeah, unless you literally do the wrap up and just hold him up until they blow the whistle. Like you said,
but you get
Josh
somebody
Allen,
like Patrick Mahomes, who, if you wrap under his arm, he's going to still throw it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him throw it this far off the ground.
Yeah, and then it becomes, well, was he sacked, or is it a good throw because he didn't get tackled? They're going to teach quarterbacks to drop back with their hands above their head to make sure that they always get tackled under their arms so they can throw
it.
I just don't understand. I don't know. I hate it. I understand we got to make something happen with the concussion issues we've been having, but I don't think you can take away, one of the most exciting parts of the game is like a third down sack for negative 10 yards. You can't take that out of the game. They've already taken out the kickoffs, which is basically, I mean, when you would kick to Devin Hester.
Yeah. Right.
You were
people turn on the TV to watch that.
Yeah, when it's 5 yards further back, even if you can still make it 5 yards into the end zone, that Hester's going to bring it out. And that was incredible because you can't kick it out of bounds on a kickoff. So you either give them great field position with a little pooch kick, or you just hope for the best and you kick it to them. And they've already basically taken that out because almost every NFL kicker can kick it through the field goal posts. They kick it out of the back of the end zone every time. And it's just not – they've taken that out. If they're going to take out sacks, I mean,
we're just going to have 70 to 63 games all the time.
Yeah, and it's already hard enough for cornerbacks to defend a receiver. If they look at them wrong, they get a foul. They get a flag. And it's just – I don't know. I mean, I get it. I really do. And they want higher scoring games and everything. That's great. But don't take out, hitting.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you made a good point about running backs, right? Like, how can you treat, especially for the Kansas City play, right? So the other play that we're talking about that was roughing the passer was the Raiders had the ball. I think it was 17-7 at the time, before the half. Mm-hmm. And the Raiders were driving similar to Tampa around that midfield range. And they take a sack that gets turned into a pass, roughing the passer call that extends the drive. The Raiders then go kick a field goal.
It was a strip sack.
Yeah, exactly. But during that sack process, he's able to actually strip the ball. And now he has the ball and falls onto Patrick Mahomes, almost as if he was the one being tackled, similar to like a running back or someone going in. We saw Josh Jacobs throughout the game last night get into a little bit of space, line up that defensive back and try his hardest to completely run him over, right? That is a way more dangerous play. That is way more similar to a kickoff play, right? Where you are having two people running almost at full speed trying to just take each other out. Jacobs run over him, and the defensive back obviously bring him down. And there is never any penalties with that. We see running back life decrease every year. Everyone's going to a multitude of running backs in the backfield to help combat that. 3 to 4 years for each running back. And then Tom Brady gets pushed over. Derek Carr gets stripped and gets tackled in the process.
Yeah,
and we call that roughing the passer.
And he even braced himself. It's not like he was, picked him up and was pile driving him into the ground.
Yeah.
He was just, he was falling on him, and he braced himself. Now, granted, he didn't get his whole arm down or anything, but you could tell he was trying to kind of brace his fall. His goal was not to hurt Derek Carr and to break his collarbone or anything crazy. That's where it's just so silly that you're telling me that a running back can lower his head and try and obliterate the guy across from him. He can run out of his way to try and decleat somebody, but if you land on a quarterback too hard, it's a flag.
And it's not a little flag either. These are drive-changing penalties, 15 yards plus a first
automatic
first down.
Yeah.
I mean, especially given to these good offenses, Tampa Bay, the Raiders. I mean, they're going to punish you. You can't give them multiple opportunities. We saw the Raiders even give the Chiefs an extra possession there late in the game that they were going to go kick. They missed the field goal. They had a defensive holding or something on field goal, which was odd. I thought it was like jumping over the lineman, but it wasn't.
Right.
And that extended it, turns into Travis Kelce's 4th touchdown. Chiefs take the lead. I mean, or extend the lead even further. So it was, you can't give these great offenses that kind of extra drives. But there's 2 big talking points. Let us know in the comments if you thought one was worse than the other, or even if you thought one of them was actually a roughing the passer. We saw the referee defend himself for saying, at least for the Tom Brady one, that was definitely a pass interference or roughing the passer call. So let us know in the comments what you thought of both of those. But we will get started here and dive into our Week 6 NFL picks, starting off with Thursday night's game in Chicago, the Washington Commanders. Carson Wentz, I don't know if he's injured. Did he get injured on Sunday? And then Justin Fields from the Chicago Bears.
I think he's still in. I think he's good.
He's still in. All right, great, perfect. So who do you got? 1 for Washington taking on 2 and 3 Chicago Bears.
Man, both of these teams are pretty bad. But honestly, I think that Chicago does not have an offense. And I think that Washington's going to go to Chicago, to Soldier Field, and steal a win from the Bears solely because they can throw the ball.
It's tough watching the Bears versus the Vikings last weekend. Beginning of the season, I think after 3 games, Justin Fields had a combined 13 or 17 completions across the 3 games. They don't throw the ball. They rely heavily on the run game. It worked really well week 1 in that monsoon against San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
It's kept them in games when it was effective. Playing Washington, who were able to battle back against Tennessee, keep it there throughout the whole game and just kind of lose out there at the end. I can see Washington going into Soldier Field and picking up a win as well, especially with a healthy Carson Wentz. San Francisco versus Atlanta, 2 teams. San Francisco, obviously, putting Jimmy G back in has helped a lot, putting up 37 points on the Panthers' first firing of the season. Matt Rule there with Carolina, but we will get into that later. They just look like they are a completely different team. They understand what they're doing. They know how to win. They know how to score. They know how to be a complete football team with Jimmy G under center. And then you got Atlanta, who just, I don't know what to make up the Falcons. I thought they were definitely going to be dead in the water. They've played a lot of teams close this year with Marcus Mariota adding that running factor. And, even against Tampa Bay, they didn't score in the first 3 quarters and arguably probably would have won that game if it wasn't for that roughing the passer call with the momentum that they had.
Yeah.
They would have gotten the ball back 2:30, 3 minutes left. Having already scored 2 consecutive drives in the fourth quarter. They could have totally tied that game up, in my opinion, and taken it there. So at home, do you give them any chance against this complete team in San Francisco?
I do give them a chance. I think Tampa Bay is better than San Francisco. And, they showed what they were about at Tampa Bay. It took them 3 quarters to get started, but they really fought hard. Yeah. And, man, no, I don't think they'll win this game. Yeah, I don't think they'll win. He's good, but I don't think he's what he was with Tennessee. I think he's kind of lost that step a little bit. And Jimmy G just doesn't make too many mistakes. He doesn't
give you a chance.
He just normally makes the right calls. He'll make the right audibles at the line. He's conservative, but the defense allows him to be, so I think that San Francisco is going to win this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think just being such a complete team that can play from the kickoff to the end the same way, they understand what they're doing. They don't get rocked. They can hurt you on defense. They can hurt you on offense. I think Falcons seem more up and down, and because of that, I'm going to edge it to San Francisco in this one as well. Cleveland, team that just doesn't know how to pick a kicker. 2 missed field goals last week, including a crazy series at the end of the game where Cleveland what was it? I got to get these right again because they're just too crazy. Great game against the Chargers, by the way. For those who didn't see that, back and forth the entire game. It seems like every time that these 2 teams play, we get fireworks, but good quality back and forth. And good overall play, and it was fantastic.
173 yards rushing for Austin Eckler on 19 carries.
Yeah, he
didn't even run the ball 37 times for that number. He was 19.
Yeah, absolutely insane. So to end this game off, we go 9 minutes or 6 minutes left, 7 minutes left. The Browns throw an interception down 2, right? And that was as they were driving. You thought they're definitely going to get into field goal range, just run the football, eat up yards. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt in the backfield were having their way throughout that game. They were able to move up and down the field, and they just bad throw, intercepted there. Okay, great. Now the Chargers have the ball up to 7 minutes left. Keep the ball, run out some clock. And they ended up going for it on 4th down on their own side of the field, giving the Browns great field position if they didn't get it, with the risk of, or the opportunity, I should say, of icing the game if they could get it. But just weird call only being up
now,
to.
Let me pause you there.
Yeah.
First of all, the coach needs to explain himself.
Yes.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, I would love an explanation, but he ended up winning the game, so he doesn't need to.
No, he won the game because his defense got his back.
But barely, because they end up the Browns end up getting the ball from those downs, going 10 yards, which is really all they needed, and miss a 40-odd field goal for the second time in that game, by the way.
Why don't you also just hand it off to Austin Eckler?
Yeah,
who has almost 10 yards average per carry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or at least dump it off to him in the backfield, or a short little route. They tried to throw. He tried to force one to Mike Williams. Now, granted, Mike Williams is 6'4". He's probably your best one-on-one target. But I don't know. I guess if they would have got it, we would have been praising him and saying that he's the best coach ever, but he didn't make it. So I think that was pretty stupid and he got lucky. Continue.
Yeah. I totally agree, but can we talk the Browns, right? If you look at their games, good gritty win week 1 against the Panthers, the historic loss to the Jets up 13 with 1:54 to go, blowing that because again, they missed an extra point. And then you got they beat the Steelers, who are just reeling with injuries and just just sad for this where the Steelers are at the moment. And then you got the Falcons where they lost by a field goal with kind of poor management there at the end of the game as well. Yeah. And then lost to 2 points because of 2 missed field goals this week. They had a Harrison Buckner or just any great kicker,
Legatron.
Really. Legatron. They could honestly.
Carlson's made like 38 field goals in a row.
Exactly. They could almost be 5-0.
Yeah.
Purely off of honestly, these games.
It would be pretty close.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. But Patriots, we know who they are. We know how they operate. A great win with Zappy, whatever that is, at quarterback.
He's Mr. New England is who he is.
I mean, incredible win last week with him under center after all of their quarterbacks are going through concussion protocol, it seems like. And so who do you got? Patriots, Browns.
Man. Zappy's he's kind of getting going with some of those receivers. And what's their running back's name? Shamondre Johnson or something, or Henry, whoever he is, he's playing well. And Stevenson.
Oh, yes. No, sorry. Yeah, Stevenson. Yeah.
Something like that. And the Browns, they just cannot close out games. And the Patriots can. If there's one thing that the Patriots are good for, it's staying in a game and not losing, not just giving up a lead. They may lose a game, but they're not going to give it away. And the Browns like to give away games. I have to go with the Patriots on this one, purely on just coaching and discipline. I think the Browns are a better team, but they've shown us 3 times that they can't finish a game. I mean, They're in every single game. They might be one of the highest scoring teams in the league this year so far. But they can't put it away.
Yeah, and I mean, putting that Lions offense to bed like the Patriots did last weekend, 29-0 win there, we know what the Patriots are about. And I agree with you. I think I will edge Patriots in this one as well. For everything that you stated. I think this will be a great game. The Browns offensively, they have the weapons. Jacoby Brissett has played well throughout the entire season, and they're going to have a chance in this one, especially being at home. But I think Patriots edge it as well.
Growing up watching the Browns, it's a good time to be a Browns fan because they're finally getting back to some exciting football. You're excited to watch the Browns on Sunday. I mean, you kind of used to 5-10 years ago. You would just watch them because they were on. They were the only team on. You was either them or the Lions. I'd rather watch the Browns. Now it's exciting to watch both of those teams, really. You never know what you're going to get, but normally it'll be an exciting game.
Yeah.
Barring the last weekend against the Patriots for the Lions, but that's fine.
Yeah. Surprising to many, maybe the Jets 3-2, same record as the Packers, also 3-2. After the Packers kind of gave it away last week against the Giants, just did not score in the second half of that game in London. Now they return home to comfortable Lambeau. Who do you got? Zach Wilson back, obviously, for the Jets. With a great win against the Dolphins last week. Full team performance there to take out the top team in the AFC East. Yeah. And now we got the Packers. Now they got the Packers. Who do you got at Lambeau?
I think you have to take the Packers at Lambeau against almost anybody. There's 3 fields there's 3 stadiums that really can make a difference. It's Lambeau, Seattle, and Kansas City. And Lambeau's a tough place to play. And the Jets, I get it. At least it's a 1:00 game, and it's not a night game. But yeah, I think the Packers are going to win this one. I think they're going to be pretty upset with giving away that game in London.
Yeah, and especially not scoring in the second half of that one to put it away with a comfortable lead there at halftime. I agree. I think the Packers will And I love the way that the Packers are set up because they can, in my opinion, compete against anyone. They can hold the ball, and I think that is the hardest thing to do in the NFL is to sustain long drives. And with the two backs that they got being able to catch out of the backfield, Jones and Dillon, rotating them in and out, it's just a relentless, steady drive up the field with them.
Yeah, there's
and I think
when they rotate, they don't really give up anything, you know?
No.
They don't. No. It's not like when Derrick Henry comes out and you're like, it's a severe downgrade. Regardless of who comes in, it's a downgrade. With these guys, it's not a downgrade it's just more of a transition, but they're equally as good at what they do. You know, and they're tough. It's just he needs a wide receiver. He needs one wide receiver. You know, he needs Devontae Adams back, and that's it.
Alan Lazard isn't the Hall of Famer that he said he would be.
Not yet. But he needs one more. If he had Tom Brady's weapons on the outside, the Packers would be unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen what he can do with a high quality receiver. Cobb being back is great, but obviously not the same as Devontae Adams, and that connection that they had for years was fantastic. Obviously, reason why they were the top of the NFC at the end of the regular season for the last 2 years, and he took home 2 MVPs. Jacksonville, with their arguably future MVP and Trevor Lawrence, take on the Colts in Indianapolis. This division, the AFC South, I still don't understand these teams besides the fact that they all play hard and gritty. I don't know who's actually has the quality to sustain it, but you're in a hard-fought game. You are taking on any one of these teams. Who do you got in Indianapolis between Jacksonville and the Colts?
I think Jonathan Taylor is still hurt. So purely off of that, I'm going to go with the Jags.
Yeah, even after that performance against Houston last week, granted, Houston just seems, again, to play everybody like that. But this one's just so tough for me. I agree. If Jonathan Taylor being down is a problem for that offense. So I will give it to you as well. Jacksonville take it in this one in Indianapolis. But I think this is going to be another defensive kind of back and forth.
You could persuade me to go Indianapolis on this one, but it's so close for me. It's so close. It's basically just because Jonathan Taylor's not there. I mean, Nyheim Hines is, he's a good player, but he's a backup.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the same level as arguably the best back in the NFL. So, we'll give it to Jacksonville on this one. I think they bounce back after that game against Houston. As we move to the Vikings, who have seemed to be putting together their offense pretty nicely now. 5 games into the season, they seem to be clicking. Obviously, Miami with the concussion issues. I don't know if Tua has started practicing. I know as of yesterday, he still was not practicing yet. So we'll see if he starts practicing, if he exits out of that concussion protocol that they have. And now it's even more stringent with everything that's gone on because of him and his situation. So we'll see if they risk him in this game. But even with that, do you give after letting up 40 to the Jets last week, can the Dolphins keep Minnesota quiet enough at home in Miami to take a win?
I don't think so. I think Teddy Bridgewater also is in concussion protocol. So, I mean, they're really, it's a big uphill climb. It's not as hot anymore. We're getting in the middle of October. It's not quite as bad. Don't get me wrong. 1 p.m. in Miami at any time of year could be hot, but it's not as bad as it was. And it would be, if this was September 16th, Minnesota would struggle. It would be way hotter than Minnesota, especially they play in a dome. But no, I think Minnesota takes this one. I think they're playing too well right now, and not knowing who your quarterback is all week, pretty tough, even for an NFL team.
Yeah, I agree. I think Minnesota as well will go down there and take care of business and go to 5-1 as they try to keep pace at the top of the NFC standings. The Bengals starting to bounce back, take on the 2-3 Saints, where we saw Taysom Hill just light it up, passing, running. I think he even recovered a fumble in this game.
He returned punts. He was pancaking people on blocks.
Yeah.
This guy was doing
incredible performance from him. Now down there in the Big Easy, they will take on the Bengals. 82% for the Bengals in this one.
That's a little high for me.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, they played the Ravens well last week. The Bengals did, but 82% to go into New Orleans and get a win.
Alvin Kamara's he's starting to find his feet again. He's starting to get back into the rhythm. If Taysom Hill if they can figure out how to get him involved like they did last week, he showed he is a serious problem.
Yeah,
he's not just a transition to quarterback. This guy is a playmaker.
Yeah, and I mean, to put up 39 points, I mean, it is the Seahawks. It seems like everybody puts up 30 points against the Seahawks, but for that struggling offense to lose their quarterback and just kind of mix and match at the position, throw Taysom Hill everywhere and score 39 points, I think is something to write home about for the Saints. I will edge the Bengals in this one, I do not think that it is this. I don't think it's going to be as lopsided as.
Yeah, I think it should be. I think the Bengals will win this game, but I don't think it's going to be an 82 to 18%. I think it should be a little closer than that.
Yeah, totally agree.
But I think this will be a high scoring game.
Yeah,
I think the Bengals are going to take it.
Yeah, I would agree. Bengals to take this one as we move 4-1 New York Football Giants. What
my goodness!
Versus the Baltimore Ravens, who've basically thrown away 2 games, just like the Browns could on another day see themselves sitting at 5-0 to start the season, but they are 3-2 as they head into the Meadowlands to take on the Giants. For me, I think, despite as well the Giants, they hung in there. They fought back against the Packers. Great second half performance, good defense, at the end of that game to keep Aaron Rodgers out of the end zone and end that game in the way that they did was fantastic. But I think Lamar Jackson and that offense starting to get healthy with J.K. Dobbins getting more integrated into the fold. Yep. I think it's going to be too much offensively for the Giants, and I think that this is where they start to maybe falter a little bit. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think the Giants have played, beyond what everybody expected them to be. And I think that's kind of it's great for Giants fans, but I think they're going to start to realize that Saquon can only do so much, and you really need to be able to throw the ball better than they have been. The Ravens can do it all. The Ravens should arguably be 5-0. So I think the Giants are good, but I think the Ravens are going to, if it gets into a shootout, I think the Ravens can hang with anybody. Yeah. So I don't think the Giants really can win this one. Unless Saquon has an amazing day, but I think it would take more than Saquon having an amazing day. I think it would take Daniel Jones to have a great day to beat the Ravens.
And Lamar Jackson having an off day, in my opinion. I think he's going to have to not be able to push the ball down the field. Like time to time he has maybe some issue doing, maybe get a little bit of interception trouble. Turning the ball over a little bit, I think is the only way that they'll be able to shut down that offense that, as you said, I think, even though they are still ahead in the AFC North, could be undefeated to start the season.
Yeah, I think if you look back to the Miami game, where Lamar Jackson he really didn't do anything wrong. The Ravens themselves really didn't do anything wrong. Their defense kind of had some issues in the second half. But
you can't let Tyreek Hill get that open.
This would be Tua and Tyreek and Jalen Waddle had the best game, some of the best games of their lives, and it's just going to happen. You can't win all of them every time. even when you play perfectly. So I think that it would take the Giants a day like that, and I don't think the Giants have that because they don't have a Tyreek Hill and a Jalen Waddle and So I think the Ravens have this one.
Mm-hmm. All right. Tampa Bay travels to injury-riddled Pittsburgh, who have lost 4 straight after that overtime win in Cincinnati to kick off the season. Any chance for the Steelers in this one? It's just sad.
I don't think so. I mean, it does suck. The Steelers, this isn't the Steelers. And I would honestly hate to see Mike Tomlin get fired this year.
Yeah.
For
I don't
everything.
think he will.
I don't either. But
with that franchise,
he's done so much for that team, that franchise. There's no way that they can pin any of their troubles on him doing stuff wrong. Like, who are you going to bring in that's going to make a difference? Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody will make this team 11-4. Nobody's going to make. No, that's not happening. They have a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. The injuries they've had, the quarterback play that they've fallen into with Big Ben retiring last year. I mean, they've had almost as many. They've almost had more Super Bowls than head coaches in the time in their franchise history. That's absolutely ridiculous.
6 Super Bowls.
They're going to stick with him.
Yeah.
So. I think it's 6-6, to be honest. I think it's 6 head coaches, at least in the last 40 odd years or something like that, and 6 Super Bowls. So it's not. I don't think that he's in any risk, but sadly, I think that this is a season to kind of write off and wait until next year, just with the injuries and the start that they've had because of it. I think Tampa Bay takes this one. As we move on to Carolina, who signed Matt Rule to a $70-odd million contract 3 years ago. I think it's a $70 million in 7. 3 years into it, he gets fired. He's owed $40 million more. Obviously, starting off 1-4. Now they go across the country to take on the Rams. You giving them
no shot?
Any shot here?
Shot. That team, I really hope the Panthers can turn it around somehow this year. I think they have good players.
So that's what I wanted to ask you, right? So they have good players, right? So Nick Wright on Fox Sports made this point, and I was so excited about it because I wanted to ask you this, especially as a Chiefs fan. We've seen the last 3 years, great free agents not free agents, but great teams get great quality players that are on bad teams halfway through the season, add that kind of missing piece, go on a run and win the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay, or Los Angeles, Tampa Bay, and then Kansas City even as well. Do you think that teams should be looking at the Panthers to do the same with the likes of Moore and McCaffrey, for example?
Absolutely.
And try and pry them out? And
100%, if the Chiefs could get DJ Moore, it would be unstoppable. Patrick Mahomes, his first 5 completions were to 5 different receivers. And so we're already a completely different team. But you add somebody in with, Marquez Valdez-Scantling playing pretty well for us. He's turned into that guy where obviously he's going to look for Kelsey first. But if Kelsey's not open or you know what I mean, he's going to score 4 touchdowns. No big deal. He has him. He has Juju Smith-Schuster. He has Nicole Hardman, who we've barely used all year so far, which I'm really shocked about. I thought we would use him a lot more because he is super fast. But if we could add somebody that's been in the league for I think it's just 5 years now or so, and he's a solid player. If we had somebody like him, he's kind of like a Juju on the, if we have them on each side, that's big security blanket for Patty Mahomes.
Yeah,
that would be great. Or like I said earlier, if you give Aaron Rodgers DJ Moore,
yeah, I think
that makes the Packers a Super Bowl favorite.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with Odell, he's injured until I think the early part of November is when he's going to be physically able to be added to rosters where people can start working him out, see where he's at after that injury he's had. But adding DJ Moore might now be that Odell that, joined the Rams last year and took them on, especially for a team like the Packers, who are in a desperate need of a star wide receiver to go in there and be that third down receiver. And I agree with the Chiefs too, because we saw last night, Juju seemed to make all the hard catches and none of the easy ones. I didn't understand that a lot. The ones kind of diving Juju back, it was incredible, that diving backwards one. And then, on second down and early in the game, he had one right into his hands. He just dropped it and, held his helmet for a little bit. And so I'm hoping that that happens. I think the Panthers just need to scrap it. I mean, even if you get healthy, you got McCaffrey getting older. DJ Moore, like you said, going to need that next big contract that he's going to, need. And so I think it's time to kind of hit the reset button there for Carolina. I agree. The Rams will get a win and move to 3-3 on the season. Kind of surprising with their start. But as we move to the Cardinals and the Seahawks, great division, obviously. Always great games between all of the NFC West out there. Who do you got, Arizona or Seattle?
I think Seattle will put up enough points.
Wow.
Yep. I think they're at home. I think they're going to put up enough points, and they are going to take it to the Cardinals.
Wow, that's incredible. I agree. It seems like every game Seattle plays is 32-35, so I don't see it changing this week with Arizona's offense going in there. As you mentioned, one of the three probably hardest places to play in with that crowd in Seattle. I think you can convince me of a Seattle win there.
All right. I think DK Metcalf has a huge game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yes. So here we go. Rematch of the coin flip game. Last year's playoffs where Kansas City were able to beat the Bills in overtime there in Arrowhead. Again, they return. They will be in Arrowhead for that one. Buffalo has a issue, it seems like, with winning close games. So I will ask you this question first. Do you think that this will be a close game?
Oh, absolutely. This is going to be a 38-39 type game. This is going to be something great.
Okay, because I do not think that this will be a close game.
No, here we go.
And I will tell you why. And it only is because of yesterday that I thought this, okay? And I will tell you why. Yesterday was literally, I could summarize, I would personally, if you take out the roughing the passer, okay? I would summarize yesterday's game as a team that couldn't stop the run versus a team that decided never to cover the tight end, okay? Josh Jacobs was averaging 8 yards per carry with a long of 37. So it's not like he broke a 90-yard run and got his average up. He was getting 6 and 6 and 5 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 12 and 5 and 7 and 10 and 9 and 5. Okay. Anytime he wanted throughout, especially that first half. And then when they were kind of battling there at the end, whatever he wanted. Travis Kelce, I think, has had 4 touchdowns, right? He averaged a touchdown every 4 yards. Okay. He would just catch and score. That's all he did. They just left him open. They just couldn't do any of that. The Bills defense, combined with the Bills rushing attack with Josh Allen as well, I think is going, and the added revenge factor, I think burst this game open and in a hurry, in my opinion, especially on a short week.
I'm going to disagree.
You're going to disagree. Kawhi, what do you got for me?
Disagree with you.
What do you got for me?
I think that Josh Jacobs last night has more rushing yards than any Bills player outside of Josh Allen this year.
Is that supposed to be a support of Kansas City?
Yes. I'm saying the Bills can't run the ball. The Chiefs cannot defend the run. But the Bills throw Josh Allen 60 times a game because they do not run the ball. Now, I'm not saying our pass defense is fantastic, but we cannot defend the run.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Team that
we can put a
hold the
spy
ball.
on Josh Allen, but they don't run the ball.
You could put 4 spies on Josh Jacobs last night. He was running people over left and right.
No, it's
He's
different.
a foot shorter.
It's different.
I just think it'll be slower, monotonous drives, but I think that it's just going to be untenable for the Chiefs, I think.
I mean, I thought that the Tampa Bay defense was going to give us issues like they did in the Super Bowl. You know, they always seem to give everybody issues because they really change it up so much. And we just tore them to shreds.
But why did you – I think you tore them to shreds purely because you guys wanted to tear them to shreds. There was something that you wanted revenge against them. You wanted – this whole season, all 5 games, you guys haven't had that twinkle, that focus in your eye like you did against Tampa Bay. I mean, you guys were up 14 after like 7 minutes. And Patrick Mahomes is rushing around the field. Everybody's darting around to get ready. They're going fast and going and going and going.
Watch this game.
I think Buffalo, I know. And everyone, they might get it because, everyone's saying Buffalo, Buffalo, Buffalo. But I think Buffalo are going to take that into Kansas City as well. I think that
bring it on, because I think that Kansas City wants to prove that they are the team to beat in the AFC.
All right. And okay, so we have definitely a draw here.
We need a third person.
Buffalo and Kansas City. And because of Kansas City's record over late, we will edge Kansas City because they have been there, done that. And so we will give that tie vote there to Kansas City. But they better win now. So,
they will.
Right.
Oh, they will. It'll be 38.
I'll see you next Tuesday, here on the webcast. Every Tuesday, 7
Depends
p.m.
if they win or not.
We do our NFL picks here. So get your picks in at ESPN. A team that you don't even have to wonder if they win seems to be the Cowboys under Cooper Rush and the Eagles all the time. So 2 unstoppable forces will collide. Someone's taking home an L.
I don't want to pick this. This one's harder for me to pick than the Kansas City Buffalo game because I obviously want Kansas City to win. So it's easier for me to pick that game because obviously if I'm torn, I'm going to pick the Chiefs. Yeah. But I honestly do believe that the Chiefs will win that game. I think it will be a tough game, and I would not be surprised if the Bills did win. But I rest my case. Now, this game, I do not think it should be a 74% to Philadelphia. But I do think that Philadelphia will give them problems. I do think they're going to win this game. But the Cowboys under Cooper Rush are no joke.
So Dak Prescott, obviously, now that he's been out for a couple of weeks, he is starting to get back into the fold. They haven't, I don't think, to this point made a decision whether he will be back for this game. It might be too early. He might come back next week. I think against Detroit they got next week. If he is healthy and practices, let's say Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, for example, do you play him?
No, I do not. He hasn't played in 4 weeks, and Cooper Rush has done nothing wrong. He's done nothing but win football games he started. Going back to last year, every game he starts, he wins. It seems like CeeDee Lamb scores a touchdown. So I just, honestly, if Cooper Rush goes into Philadelphia and wins this football game, do you start Dak when he's healthy?
No, you can't go into the Super Bowl champs and go beat them. Fly across the entire country and go against the only team that is currently undefeated in the entire National Football League and is in your division. Beat them and then put in Dak. I mean, if it was Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, maybe. Okay, like you understand it.
Yeah.
Despite how well
you have a Hall of Fame quarterback that's waiting to be healthy.
Yeah, who's done it and done it better even than Cooper Rush has in a period of games, right? I mean, he completed 10 for 16 last week against the Rams. You know, it's definitely a team performance that is getting him there.
Well, and that's fine. But the thing is he went 10 for 16. He didn't do anything wrong. He was
it's exactly what Jimmy G does.
He did great. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong.
It's exactly Jimmy G. If the guy fits, it's not just about. And this is personally not to get completely off topic here, but the reason why I consider Tom Brady the best quarterback, and for me, it was Peyton Manning there for a while, but the best quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, is not because he's won the most, which is, obviously a bonus, but it's because I think that he is the best teammate to ever grace a sporting field, court, whatever you want to call it. And the reason why is because not only is he talented, he has that effect that you see with a Cooper Rush or a Jimmy G, where the rest of the team plays so much better just because he is there, because they understand how to, I don't know what it is, and that is why I have Tom Brady as the greatest quarterback of all time. And it's better to have that quarterback, in my opinion, than someone who is just talented and, can do all the throws, but doesn't really make the rest of the team, all that much better or play as well as they can. Because to win Super Bowls, I think that's what you need. And Tom Brady obviously had the talent to go with it, so that's how you get to 7.
This isn't basketball. It's not 5-on-5 where one person can score 50 and take over a game. This is 11-on-11.
Yeah, you don't even play half the game.
That's what I mean. You throw the ball, and it's out of your hands at that point.
Yeah,
in basketball, it's in your hands until you shoot it, and then
exactly
it doesn't. You're not relying on anybody other than your shot.
Plus, you play defense,
and then you play defense. Exactly. And so, like golf, it's all you. You hit the bad shot, you hit the good shot. That's why Tiger Woods is arguably the best athlete to ever grace the earth, or greatest competitor, because it's him himself. You can say Michael Jordan. Yes, you can say Tom Brady. Yes, you can say all these people. But I think Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal, Tiger Woods, these are some of the greatest competitors because it's 100% on them.
Yeah, all of them. All right, after those 4 tangents, who do we got in this one? Do we got the Cowboys?
By the way, I disagree with the Tom Brady comment too.
Okay, we'll have that another day. And trust me, I battled deeply with that one, but I had to correct my way of thinking and come to a former Michigan Patriot. Everything I loathe as the best, as the
that's a low point for
besides
you.
The point. It's a low point. Some can see it as a low point. Some can see it as a high point. High morality. You're welcome. No bias here on the webcast. We say it again. No bias here. Anyway, what do you got? Cowboys, Eagles.
I would almost prefer the Cowboys to win just to see what happens with Cooper Rush. I hope he does great. I'm not a Dak hater by any means, but I think he's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong, and I think he's done well for the Cowboys. But it's not like he's done everything for the Cowboys. They don't make the playoffs, and they don't win any games in the playoffs. They're not winning Super Bowls. They're not doing anything crazy. But I don't think he's gonna be able to do much against that Eagles defense. I think he's not going to be able to ride the running game like he has been. But I don't think he's going to play bad. I don't think the Cowboys are going to play bad. I think it's going to be a great game. I just think the Eagles are going to edge it out.
Yeah, Sunday night under the lights in Philadelphia in this one with a great and the way that sports town's going to be buzzing this weekend. Philly's taking down World Series champion Atlanta Braves tonight in the first game of the NLDS there. They also got the Eagles. They got hockey returning, big hockey town there with the Flyers. It's just a great sports town overall. 6-0, undefeated after 6 games in the best division. We talked so much before this season about how this is always the worst division you can get in at 7-9 some years. No one has repeated the division since 2004 when the Eagles did it. The Cowboys 4-1, the Giants 4-1, and the Eagles 5-0. Who would have seen it coming? One team is going to be 5-1 or 6-0 to start this one as well. So great start for either one that comes out victorious on this one. But I agree with you. Eagles fly, Eagles fly. And that brings us the last game. Denver with arguably the worst home under the lights game in recent history. I don't know of a worse or a worse game all around than Colts Broncos last Thursday. They've gotten like 10
or something
in overtime after terrible play. It wasn't even the score. We've seen good games. I remember Pittsburgh versus the Ravens in some great defensive matchups. Even if you go to college, those games, Auburn versus Alabama back in the day when you knew, Alabama, LSU, even when you knew it was going to be 12-9. You knew it, but you knew you were going to get a defensive masterclass.
Yeah, it wasn't mistakes.
It was
not just that. The defense was just unbelievably strong.
Yeah. This was that game with that Colts Broncos game. Just I don't even know
it sucked.
So can they go into down there in SoFi, which the Chargers, especially in LA with the Rams being back, always have a tough time drawing a good crowd for their support. It seems like it's always either 50-50 or leaning to the away team. So can those raucous Broncos fans, who I think need to be mentioned in your top 3, by the way, of stadiums.
Oh, true.
They're in Mile High there. Can they put together an offense to beat the Chargers?
I think the Chargers are too good. I think Austin Eckler is starting to really figure it out. He's starting to find it. I think there's no shot. I mean, the Broncos are just so bad offensively. I mean, it's not like the Colts are great defensively this year.
Yeah.
It's just
sad.
The Broncos are bad, and they paid way too much money for Russell. Yeah. I mean, and I'm not going to say it's all Russell's fault. It's a whole new system. He's basically played under one coach his whole career. It's just they don't have it. They don't have it right now. And
no.
I definitely don't think they're going to go into SoFi and have it. So
they've scored under 20 points in 4 out of the 5 games the Broncos did.
It's pretty rough.
So I think Austin Eckler had 21 points himself last week. So I think that I agree. Chargers under the lights, which seems to be a problem for the Broncos. Lost in Seattle under the lights. Lost at home to the Colts under the lights. I think under the lights is a problem. And so I got the Chargers as well. And there you go. There are all our picks here from us at the webcast. Go ahead on ESPN, make your picks. Today was NFL. Wednesdays, we do European soccer. We got great Champions League games today and tomorrow to complete game week 4. One of probably the most important game week in the Champions League. We'll go through that structure again with you tomorrow, 7 p.m. as we then preview another week of the Premier League, the Erling Haaland show. Will it continue? Will it not? If you don't know the name, go look him up on Google. He is the next thing in all of sports. He is absolutely incredible. Go check him out. Doug, great to have you back on the webcast. And we will both see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. for EPL picks.
See you guys.